Hello there everyone, how you doing today? I hope you're all well. Today we're going into r/amithedevil, where everyone we read stories about are absolute buttholes, like to the umpteenth degree. If you like the stories I have for you today, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now I'm gonna take my coat off and take my book out and get started with these stories. Hope you can stick around. My wife won't talk to me anymore. My wife and I have been together for 6 years, married for 2. She used to talk to me all the time. She used to share her day with me, just randomly tell me her thoughts, stuff like that. However, she also used to want to talk about problems we were having, a lot. It felt like we were always talking about what I did wrong. She thought I spent too much time talking to exes. We were friends. I don't prioritize her over work. It's my career. Am I supposed to quit? And mostly that I don't care enough about her. It was so many different ways that she came to that conclusion. But it was like we were just always sitting down for a serious talk. So I told her about a year ago that I didn't want to talk anymore. I was just tired of hearing everything I was doing wrong. I provide everything we need. Can we just have a break? I told her that if she has a problem with the way I did things, then she could get out of my house and we'd have a divorce. She told me that she was trying to communicate because she didn't feel appreciated, and that I had one foot out the door, but I think that's ridiculous. I know it's harsh, but I was at my wit's end. So now a year later, she barely talks to me at all. When I ask about her day, she goes, "Fine." When I talk to her about works or politics or my day, she says, "Oh wow, cool," and kind of walks away. Her attitude isn't bad, she's very sweet, it's just like she doesn't care anymore. I didn't want to talk about our problems anymore, but I didn't mean to stop talking, period. We really don't need to talk about anything that doesn't have to do with our life or household. In the evening, she just turns on the TV and we watch something until bed. So now I don't know what to do because I just found out today she won a pretty big award at her job and she didn't tell me. Last Friday, she said she had to work late and it was cool. I didn't ask. Today I found out that she was really at a dinner where she was celebrated for this award. She invited some of her friends and her mom and her brothers. I ran into her brother at the store today and he mentioned the dinner, and I said that I was sorry I couldn't make it. I asked what he meant and he said dinner, how I wasn't able to go because I was sick. I asked him to explain the whole thing to me, so now he knows too. What am I supposed to do? Is she punishing me or something? Do I tell her that I know? Why wouldn't she tell me? I didn't think she'd take it this far, and now I'm thinking she's being petty. Does anyone here have experience here? I love my wife and I'd do anything for her, besides listen to her problems apparently, but I'm so confused. You pushed her away and now you're trying to act dumb. She tried to talk and communicate. You told her to either stop or get out of your house and to divorce. You got what you wanted. Why are you now upset when the rabbits got the gun? By the way, she's likely getting ready to leave you. Google walkaway wife, so when it happens, don't cry the woe is me card and it blindsided you. Just saying. On to the next story. Topic warning for this next story, there is mentions of sexual assault in it at the very least. I had my nikah early this year. We had been engaged for a few months prior to that, but there was tension and disagreement between us. She's from back home and very conservative. I take my deen very seriously, but I live in the US and we often cannot follow our deen by the way some Muslims would do back home, and that has caused a rift. After a few disagreements, I want to back out of the marriage and I told my parents. They told me that she will adjust. To be honest, I did not want to pursue this marriage, as at that time I felt like she was not one for me and we were not compatible, but I came under parental pressure. Then we had our nikah and our relationship began on a very cold note. It's not that we were fighting, but we would start conversations, disagree, and then become silent and distant. There was a lot of silence in our marriage, with me being on the computer and her just doing her things in the house, avoiding me and not talking much. You may call it a cold war. Prior to marriage, I had stayed away from haram as much as possible. I could and never dated and avoided being mixed gatherings as much as I could. This was my first time in the presence of a woman, and when Parda came off, I was secretly very attracted to her. I say secretly because, well, we're in a Cold War. If we had a good relationship like a normal couple, I would have sat her down and told her my feelings, that our differences aside, that she was very beautiful. But due to the Cold War and silent treatment we were giving each other, there was no environment for that conversation. Now, a few months into our marriage, I am very much in need of her. She is still very distant and rejectful. She wants to stay up and read, and only when I'm asleep she joins in the bed. This is done purposefully to avoid me. It is odd to be in bed with someone you're in disagreement with. It's not that we've never been intimate, but it's just not as frequent as I want it to be, and she does not open up as much. Firstly, celibacy is always hard on people, but it's even harder when you have a woman without Parda in the house, and you can look at but not touch. It is not a healthy situation to be in.
Part of me says that I have her in my nikah and I could just take her whenever I feel like. I'm obviously stronger, get what I want, but there is conflicting opinion on the internet, even among religious people. Some have said that even within marriage, consent should be obtained. Some people have said that it is not zina since she's my nikah, but would it be against the Quran to do this out of the bedroom? If it's only a compromise of bedroom etiquette, then I do not care. But if there's an Islamic ruling that prevents a man from taking a woman who is nikah because she's not talking to him, then I would never dare to do anything like that. I would appreciate if people are more knowledgeable in Islam could elaborate on this. If there are any sisters reading this, specifically those who are already married, then your views would be greatly valued.
So let me get this straight. You want to sexually assault your wife, and you want to know if there's anything in your religion telling you that it's okay to do. You don't care if it's against the law or anything like that, but you'll only care if it's against your religion. Oh my god, and I thought Christianity was bad. Oh my god. On to the next story. Am I the butthole for bringing my friend's ex-girlfriend to his dad's wake? Okay, so I have a friend whose dad recently passed away. He is currently newly married and expecting his first child with said wife in the spring. He had a girlfriend, let's call her Taylor, for probably about 5 years. Taylor and friend broke up about 3 years ago, but they lived together and had talks about getting married. The breakup seemed bad, but I stayed in touch with Taylor over small stuff, and talked occasionally now and then. I had no reason to have ill will towards her. When I learned of his friend's dad's death, I texted Taylor to let her know on account of she obviously knows the family, and has met the dad on numerous occasions. She said she wanted to go to the wake, but felt uncomfortable going alone, and asked if I would go with her. I obliged, thinking it would be nice of her to want to pay respects. So we go to the funeral home, and the friend seemed shocked that we walked in together. They embraced, and she did the whole sorry for your loss thing, and it seemed perfectly fine. He proceeds to pull me aside and ask if I'm hooking up with her. I laughed and said, obviously not. We just both decided to come because the drive is far. He texts me after and thanks me for coming, and once again asks if I'm hooking up with Taylor. I again say no and explain that I told her and she didn't want to go alone, but still wanted to pay her respects. The friend then proceeds to text me 2 weeks later, completely going off on me. Between expletives, he said that I was completely out of line, and disrespectful to him and his wife, and they're both very upset with me. Claims he doesn't know what to think of me anymore, and that I could have at least given him a heads up that Taylor was coming. I explained that I thought it was nice that she wanted to pay her respects. I did not think there was a need to reach out beforehand, to which he said it again was completely inappropriate and disrespectful to him at his own father's wake. Am I the butthole? You're the butthole, regardless of the true intentions and circumstances behind you and Taylor going to the funeral together. The optics are terrible, and you should have known better. Also, if she was still on an actively bad terms with your friend to the point that she heard about the death from you rather than your friend, she shouldn't have been there at all, I think. This whole thing has been a huge lapse in judgment on your part, and you owe him an apology. On to the next story. Am I the butthole if I tell my tenants they can't have packages delivered to their house? I have a rental unit in my home, a daylight basement with a separate entrance. I share my mailbox with my tenants, and until recently I never had issues with mail or deliveries. About 7 months ago, I rented to a couple in their mid-40s. She's a substitute teacher out all day, and he is retired, and at home during the day. Generally, they're great tenants. Rent is always on time, and they are easy to live with. However, she's a shopaholic, constantly ordering packages. I don't mind occasional deliveries, but the sheer volume has become overwhelming. I frequently order from Amazon and other sites. I have deliveries sent to my garage, and notifications set up. I also work from home so I can retrieve packages quickly if drivers miss instructions. So far, there's been no issues, and I've never had any porch pirates. When the tenants move in, they went on an extended overseas vacation, saying they'd have a few packages shipped back. I agreed, but soon became inundated with over 20 large boxes, some weighing 30 to 40 pounds. I schlepped them to the garage until they returned. I brushed it off, thinking it was a one-time thing. Then they went on a 2-week cruise, and more packages arrived. Since then, deliveries haven't slowed down. I asked them to set up delivery instructions to the garage and notifications, the same as I did. I made it clear that I don't want my porch to become a target for thieves, especially since my house faces the main road. Despite this, the packages were still left on my porch. Again, I spoke to her and suggested she rent a mailbox at a nearby postal store, but she said it was too expensive and inconvenient with her schedule. Amazon lockers don't work on the address. Since she orders from other sites. She did agree to have packages sent to her sisters during vacations, but this doesn't address the daily issues. Packages keep coming to my porch, so I must move them to the garage and text them each time. Sometimes 3 or 4 times a day. It's becoming a huge pain in the butt, as I have a ruptured disc in my back, which she is aware of. I've nearly tripped over boxes just opening the door to leave the house. 2 weeks ago, there were 2 huge boxes taking up my whole porch. I swear, I've had the fight to urge not to punt the damn things off the porch, and I don't want to bust my foot. I'm usually easygoing, but I'm fed up with being the middleman for her shopping sprees. She jokes, and I feel it very inconsiderate. I don't want to seem like a nitpicky B-word, especially since I've already had to address packing issues with them when they first moved in. I made it clear when I interviewed them that they need to respect each other's space due to our unique shared living circumstances. Yet they seem oblivious. They're on a month-to-month lease, and I'm considering raising the rent for the extra hassle or banning deliveries entirely. Am I the butthole, or is my tenant being inconsiderate and rude? Well, the problem stems from the fact that you're not renting a legitimate unit, and therefore the tenants cannot get separate mail set up. So yes, you're the butthole. Be ready for this to come up if you try to restrict their mail use. What you're proposing might even be illegal. It is illegal in general to obstruct the delivery of mail. Yes, the tenant's being inconsiderate, but let's be clear. The problem is the mail setup, and that is your doing. That's the end of today's video. If you all enjoyed, remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment down below. I will see you all next time. Hasta la pasta.